Indeed, match 3 is now going to be underway. And man, Barky the Dog, that takes me down memory lane a little bit, not going to lie. But we are going to get ready for this one onto Erangel once again. And yeah, I think they hit the nail on the head right now. This is a competition for second place. You got Na'Vi, you got Zeus, you got the Xavier, which is going to be the one to stand on the silver throne. We'll have to see, but it's really close. So every single one of those few teams at the top need to get good result after good result now.
And BTR do it, Max. They are about 54 points behind Na'Vi. They started this day with a chicken dinner. It wasn't the strongest standout game, but we're heading back over to Erangel. Do you think it can be done?
What do you think? I feel like a teacher right now.
I love the way you, flip it back on me. Look, anything is possible. I always say it's not over until, Fat Lady sings, and I certainly have not started singing, Max. Mathematically, it's still possible, but I could argue that with how strongly, the likes of the Xavier and Na'Vi have performed, them two specifically, never mind Zeus, I think that mountain is just a little bit too hard to climb. But this phase 1 isn't too hard for these teams, as a playing path complements it quite nicely. Obviously, it's going to leave it a little bit longer for the likes of Na'Vi to drop in Novo. I8 being able to breathe a sigh of relief. They didn't even try and go for military base because they were a little bit fearful that Na'Vi might look to try and head in that direction as well. So they've dropped down on a compound by the field, close by to reject.
I mean, really, they should be aware that the only time Na'Vi are going to be dropping a military base is when the playing path is full south. Doesn't happen, so I8 could be a little bit safer this time around. They're going to be close to where typically Reject do drop, so that is something to keep in mind. But I8, they like to play a little bit more stacked on top of each other, so I don't think any team, especially Reject, that are so spread as a team that they always play so spread, that is something that I8 shouldn't have really too much of an issue dealing with in the early stage. But we did see phase 1 pop. Over to the eastern side, we had a lot, and I mean a lot of circles over there, so we are definitely not in uncharted territory. So I'm hoping to see a relatively chill early game, as usual, and I want to see how these top teams that we mentioned, right, how they're going to be trying to deal with this one. Is there's going to be any change of pacing, especially for teams at the top, or even the teams at the bottom? We haven't seen too many big changes at the start of the day, a few little here and there, but nothing of significance, I would say. So I think we might start get to the point where teams are just like, you know what? We're going to let all hell break loose. Again, we're going to full send it, and I think that we're slowly getting to that point now.
Sure. Look, all of this money, all of this fight, it's for charity, and at the end of the day, and this is absolutely amazing to see. And the chase for second is on for 3 to 4 teams, but to extend a little bit on what Jason said before he passed over to us, it's 22 points only dividing Yala in 6th and I8 in 13th. That's all. So one good game for the likes of DS, Geek, DRS, A1, Reject, and Blacklist, who are in between the two teams I mentioned, could catapult any one of those teams up into top 6 to grab even more money for the charity of their choice.
Yeah, of course, that's the great thing that you got to keep in mind, right? Is that this tournament is fully for charity, and you also got these mini tournaments happening on the day-per-day basis. Who could be number 1 at the end of the day to get an extra $80,000 for your charity? We don't know yet. I mean, we already had some good showcases from, for example, Na'Vi. You also go yourself out as to go himself the last game. So we don't know. Could also see BTR be the one on top of there. Though BTR, I'm not gonna lie, got themselves 69 kills. Very nice. If they get one more kill, I'm gonna be severely disappointed. Stick at 69. I think that is the way to go for them.
My favorite number. I love to see it. Now, the Xavier dropping Pachinki. They're still in Pachinki, which is on the edge of the circle. Kind of worries me a little bit. I was hoping they would have rotated away from there a little bit earlier. Zeus are heading past them. They'll probably go into Potato Hill for the time being, but Geek Fam tend to rotate a little bit earlier from there. Gaka drop as well, so I just worry a little bit that the Xavier might get under a little bit of pressure early on in this game. I'm also hoping that Valdez, who dropped in Rosshawk, might rotate a little bit earlier, because again, there's a lot of potential in this phase on circle on the east, because not too many teams drop around the shelter prison area, so there's a lot of space available to grab and call your own in this phase 1.
Yeah, so things very normal from what we expect on the Wrangle game. So I want to take this time,
yeah.
while not too much is currently happening, to praise a few of the teams that are not in the race for the top 5, but are still doing great, and I think there's some big improvements, and one of those is the team from Bangladesh of A1. I want to sing their praises for a second here, because when we think back at the PMGC, right, they barely qualified into the finals. They got himself in 16th place, and then into the finals itself, they got himself in 15th. So they were definitely not a dominating team. They still had a big impression, I would say, on a lot of people that were watching the PMGC finals or league stage altogether. And now you're looking at this with teams of maybe not as a similar skill level, but at least very close to it. And now they're middle of the table. I think that's a great improvement. So I think that A1 is a team that needs time to grow, spread their wings, and
I agree.
They're not the only one in this one, but it's just the example I'm taking. The A1 has impressed me. Every single event I've been able to follow them, they got better and better. And if you're able to always take criticism and improve over time, that is one of the best skills you could ever hope to have as a pro team. So A1, you never know. Maybe not world champion this year, but hey, you never know. 2022, 2023, they might just be in the reach of it.
And I think something that needs to be kind of credited a little bit more as well. And I know good for you, the top teams having in play, despite the very odd changes, that they're the same roster from PMGC, right? They're the same team from last year. So that kind of base of synergy, and sometimes it can be kind of hard to evolve as a team when you're sticking with the same roster, because you know you're in your comfort zone. You maybe, I'm not gonna say trust each other too much, but that level of like comfort is there. But they have all continued to evolve together, and sticking with the same roster also gives them the strength that they know each other. There's the stability there, and they're building upon it layer after layer after layer. So you are dead right, and I'm glad you credited them for it. DRS in Yasnaya only starting to move away now. Maybe it could have been a little bit earlier. We're only halfway through phase 1, but Zeus went for a very deep rotation, which I love to see. I was expecting Potato Hill from them, but they've gone for a lovely 2-2 split in the dead center of this phase 1, hoping that works out for them, because I really think because they were one of the first teams to rotate center, you know, it does give them that stranglehold to get more information and control the teams around them.
They are central team, right? That's just their go-to strat. They're going to be playing central. It's not always been the case, but as of recent times, it is definitely a playstyle to suited them, and they're just leading into that even more as time goes on. So I'm okay with it. They play it relatively well, and that's exactly what helped them out last game, right? Snatch away a second place away from most of the teams in the lobby, so they're definitely living up to a lot of expectations that people had for them. But otherwise, you're going to have your typical late rotations from some of the teams. Go your Blacklist Internationals, Na'Vi, Myth, Reject. I8 taking a little bit of their merry time down there in Southern Africa Military Islands. Same for also Fnatic Zombies, which they started rotating a lot earlier last Durango, which I was really happy with. But this one they're taking it a little bit slower, and I think that is heavily due to the circle. There's a big chunk of land still available in Phase 1 Circle on Southern Africa Island, so they're just delaying it a decent bit. As Hassan, what are you doing over there? There's always one player for NASA that's really far and just gets knocked down quickly.
It seems like Nasser just don't seem to be able to find their feet as a team in these games. They don't seem to be able to find their groove for whatever reasons, and I gotta be a little bit harsh. I would put that down to a lack of evolution from the IGL, and I don't know if that's exclusively it. Maybe the players aren't listening to the IGL, but you know, there has to be something that maybe call it just pure lack of experience. But I just don't think we've seen an improvement across the 4 days for Nasser compared to other teams. So just to, you know, as much as I'm still proud of them, just to put that little bit of criticism out there for them, they really need to kind of improve more coming into future tournaments.
Not much is going to happen with the circle. Most of the teams already inside of it. Just Yala really have to move up a little bit. But that's the thing. I want to cut them a little bit of slack to NASA, though. There have been some changes, maybe not the most obvious ones to spot out, and I think it's down to how they rotate and also how they take fights. I think the synergy has improved a decent bit. But you mentioned, and you hit the nail on the head, Sen, is lack of experience. And I think this is a first attempt on a big international stage with teams of this caliber. It is not easy, right? Not every team is going to be the new class DA from PMGC, right? It takes a lot of time to become one of the best teams in the world. So, you know what? Maybe not this time. You know what? There's a lot of opportunities down the line. You know, PUBG Mobile Esports is here to stay, so I'm sure we'll see a lot more of NASA if it's in this team, if it's just on an individual level, if the players do move away from each another at some point. But this is experience that's going to be helping them a lifetime. And not only them, all the other teams in this lobby, like Myth, like Fnatic Zombies, so I'm hyped to see how that's going to go. As talking about where it's going to go, we have a fight going on currently towards Shelter. Zeus and DS, but DS not a fan of early game fights, so they're going to avoid it as much as possible.
They got the kill onto one of the Zeus players. Caught off
don't like
guard,
committing.
don't get me wrong. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's caught off guard, but poor from Zeus. Again, I talked about them, you know, that central position being rewarded for that, but if you allow teams to get close to you, if you're not in a strong central position, like it seems they weren't, they're going to get punished for. Great play by DS to just put a bit of underlining pressure forward, and that's going to send Zeus closer to another team as well. I believe it's the Xavier, if I'm not mistaken. A1 are close by as well, so Zeus in the thick of action, only 10 minutes into this game number 3 of the day. Teams on the outskirts of the circle, you have still I8 and Fnatic Zombies in Military Island, and it's very interesting to know that I8 did rotate back into Military Island to kind of stick to what would be a normalized pathline off the back of dropping in that mainland. I don't know what you think about that. I like it, but I also think maybe it was wasting time in the game. What's your thoughts?
I think it's fine personally. Like, it is phase 1 going into phase 2. It's okay for you to rotate a little bit late, but you got to start ramping the speed up a little bit, and I think we saw quite a few teams try and adapt that playstyle, so I'm okay with it as long as you are putting a big emphasis around scouting, because if you rotate late without information, that hurts you. If you rotate late but you prepare accordingly, then you could be completely fine. I'm looking at the teams and how they're rotating. BTR actually not playing edge this time. They centered up pretty nicely right next to Reject, A1, DSK, Zeus. I like that. We know BTR in the longest time have been an edge team. Now they're going to try and take a little bit more real estate under their control. Hippity hoppity, that compound is now their property. I like it. It's a strong spot. I have literally no problem with that. But now can they play it accordingly? That's what we're going to have to wait and see.
Myth are in a really good compound. It's a small little building that's down the Potato Hill area. So, of course, the trickiness is that the hill above is open. But they do get a lot of information around that area, and it does give them a lot of exit potential on this next phase popping up. It's a little bit similar with DRS. They still have 2 on the edge of Yasnaya, 2 in the fields inside that compound, so they get a lot of information. Navi, I believe, have a lovely 4-man spread as phase 3 centralizes up, where most of the teams are already there, and Yala's maybe slower rotation from build to power could hurt them in this phase, because there's a lot of real estate, a lot of core areas that are already taken. Maybe onto Shelter could work out because DS are there, and that is a spot that can be occupied by multiple teams.
Yeah, especially when you're gonna have Yala just eking forward right behind them, and they're gonna be squashed between a few teams actually. So DS Gaming, if they can try and make sure they're prepared for a team coming from behind them, they should be okay. But Yala actually going to go for a little bit of a wider spread. They're going for a 2-2 split currently around the east, so I'm not a fan of that one from Yala, because if they do have a team mid-rotation jobbing on their position, it was exactly what's happening with Ida currently. He's just way too far out there away from his team. That could go against him. So Yala's got to be sure that when you pull a 2-2 split rotation, you actually find some good positions. Here they were going somewhere in the unknown. That could have hurt them, but luckily enough, no casualties, for now at least, have been spotted for Yala.
Yeah, for sure. I was a little bit worried about that myself. Reject, just a little bit to the west of BTR, and that kind of roadside hill that can often be a bit tricky to hold on to. But unlike other games, I got to give credit to Reject. They are together as kind of a nice solid 2-2, so I believe it gives them a really solid controlling part of this circle. I8 are realistically actually outside the blacklist. They're the only team that to still be outside of the circle. Valdez has Concept a bit further into the west, where the rest of the team are still in apartments. Not too shabby, but with Geek Fam a bit to the northeast. You have Myth on that kind of hillside, and even Nasser in that kind of compound that's by the side of the road. That's a big part of this circle. It could get a bit scary for Valdez coming into the next phase.
Little burst coming out from Salam on the deep 28, not going to result in really too much being done. Just saying, hey BTI, no, don't peek too much. We will fight you if needed, so just be careful. BTI's got big spread also. They're going to be sharing that kind of hilltop plateau with Reject. It seemed like I also want to join and want a piece of that pie, so going to try and get a little bit more involved and take more free real estate for themselves. Otherwise, yeah, these are very typical rotations for a lot of these teams. I'm enjoying it, but They say Blackbeard's getting a little bit blind here, right into the open arms of DRS, but yeah, Ganden's struggling to hit those shots. Hits a few bullets for a second, but seemed like the little bit of a card play actually worked out. Get the surprise factor. Claire does get the knock onto Galzin, and that is going to be also resulting in Na'Vi going for a sneaky, cheeky third party. You know that if they see kills, they'll try and take as many as possible because they are greedy guys after all.
Yeah, but why did Galzin take shots when the rest of his team aren't really close by, right? You gotta know that when a team is rotating past, as blind of a rotation as that is, your information is blind and you're not together to really feed that information. That was a mistake from Galzin. Yes, the rest of the team kind of returned up, but Mafia Ninja's now knocked down and leaves 2 players left up. Bit poor decision making from DRS as they're not even inside the circle as well.
Yeah, they are going to have to make sure they can get out of that fight with Blacklist International Na'Vi. There's even going to be Yala and Fnatic Zombies down south, but this is not an easy escape for them.
Yeah.
Kill feed Zeus versus BTR, that's an interesting fight. We'll get to it eventually. You can see into the picture-in-picture currently as all of Zeus, they're in a dip. Nades are so easy to connect, and it's so easy. In fact, the Liquid is just taking them down one by one solo so far. You've got to be careful, you've got a team right behind you. And as I say that's it for Liquid, that's it for BTR, eliminated in 16th position. It's up and down for them today, man. He got himself a win at the start, and now a 16th position game. Yeah, they need to work on that consistency.
And that fight for third might be over as well, that battle, that mountain to climb, especially being taken out by Zeus, kind of add kills to them and really takes the opportunity away from BTR. It is what it is. Zeus will keep on rocking in the free world that is this game. Na'Vi with a 1-1-2 spread nearly.
An attempt at 2-2.
It is. I don't know if you could call that a 2-2 because I don't think Meku and Tixi are together enough. They might be able to support each other, but are they really close enough to call it a 2-2?
Yeah, that's what I call it. It's an attempt at a 2-2, but a little bit too far away to actually call it a 2-2. It's an unofficial 2-2. There we go. We'll go with that kind of pronunciation. But Valda's trying to push their way between Geek Fam and Na'Vi. Not an easy rotation. Now that's going to cause them a lot of trouble, a lot of issues as 2 players instantly.
I8.
Concept and Martin's still good, but I8 Imperium. They're looking for the fight again onto Myth. They get himself a knock onto Faroki. Hostem's down below. I believe got spotted out. Yeah, that nade is coming out. UserDem has 100% the intel to where Hostem currently is. That looks like a good nade. Could be strong. Doesn't get any damage.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, send one to the left, send one to the right to make sure that Hostem has no fire, no chance of fighting back. And that's it. That's the end for Team Myth, eliminated in 14th. That has been struggling a really big amount in this event.
And also, I recognize in a really good way that I8 were at a point where the circles were kind of going away from them and they realistically had to start to take a fight. Meku's knocked down. Nice play by Tyre.
Yeah, that knock on Meku was actually huge. DRS got Mafia Ninja down below. Do you go for the heal or do you try and pop him down? You got to be careful how you peek there, Tixi, because you still have Tira. You got third party happening so far. Na'Vi trying to be a little bit too greedy on those kills apparently, and that's going to cause their demise at the end. Mafia Ninja is just leaving these 2 teams fight literally above this current location. He's happy. If Na'Vi goes down, they might just forget about it.
And Kitsune is kind of giving over the spot that he had on the northwestern edge of the circle to try and get close to his teammates to get that revive off. Reject going for the crash on the A1. Now, A1 haven't been the best at breaching teams on crashes, but are they going to be successful defending a crash by the Japanese representatives?
We'll see. We saw what happened the other day where A1 crashed this exact compound. It did not quite go their way. I'll see if they can try and learn and work on that strong basis they had. Reject trying to move on out. They're trying to push their way into the building. They've still got a lot of utility to deal and spare. While Divine remaining a little bit further behind there, maybe trying to be more of a backbone support, but you want every single player you can in this fight. Utilities coming out, a lot of tick damage dealt the way of A1, especially for Sinister. The smokes are going to slowly but surely start showing the top of their head. And Reject, they're going to be trying to push it in. Sinister trying to push himself out of the building while 6ix9ine is just in a little bit of a small room over to the right. And I think the Reject are just unaware. They're hearing all the footsteps. They know that a lot of players of A1 left, but do they know 6ix9ine is in that location? I don't think they do.
And with the circle shifting up north, both these teams have to start to make a move, but I also think that allows A1 to play on the roadside and utilize the wall to maybe get a little bit of a flank position on Lapis. I'm not saying it's 100% certain, but it could be there. Sinister gets in the buggy. Are they going to look to disengage? 6ix9ine is still on the outside of the building. It could be a bit of a bait, but Reject looking to do the same.
6ix9ine committing to the blue a bit more. Gonna get the intel to Divine. Divine gets prone, and that's it for 6ix9ine, and he gets picked away.
Yeah.
Out A1. Oh man, yeah, they took too long onto that fight. Reject having a hard time. It's a Hail Mary push, trying to push their way out, but there's so many teams they're gonna be pushing into. A1 make it over to the side of the road, but that's gonna be a huge encounter with IA right now, and there's only Dante. Dante trying to take all of the kills for himself, but without your team to back you up, that is not gonna be an easy feat.
Oh no!
They're gonna try and roll him over. Dante, can they make it happen? And see you later, Dante. It was good seeing you. Back to the lobby you go, and back to the lobby all of A1 go, actually. But Reject are not done. They put himself towards another fight with I8. You guys gotta calm down, Reject. You're out of your goddamn mind.
Come on, Johnny.
Johnny's there once again.
Come on, Johnny.
This guy's surviving all the time. How does he do it? I have no idea.
But he did it against BTR and Sanok. Let's see if he can do it again. It looks like he's going for the revive, but I think that's a bad idea because Lapis is able to reposition. Although, he's not going for the...
He doesn't know.
What is he doing?
What am I doing? I don't know. He's having some fun, I can tell you that much. But that's going to be great. Johnny able to make it out alive. He's going to leave his teammate go down. Unfortunately, we have no option. The blue then was pushing against him. Now it's game of survival. Let's see how long he can stay up and go and how long can his health bar remain healthy in this game of their angle. Abyss right behind. One player that's been doing a lot for the team despite not being a huge fragger, but the setups are big from this player. But Johnny's full sending it. He's pushing closer and closer inside the circle. He's not there just yet, but he's right above. And literally right above a few of the players, and that's Zeus already out. And Maya able to pick a few kills onto DS Gaming.
Don't mind me, guys. Don't mind me. I'm a nobody. Ignore me. Ignore me. The Xavier pushing in onto Yala.
There we go, that's another fight, man. Everything's going downhill real fast on this game. Yala Esports losing every single one of their players, eliminated in 9th. 8 teams still remain, but the circle's about to shift. Imperium Navi's got a huge spread, and they got such an easy entry point to the circle, but Valdatar just barely onto the western side. They can also make it in right after pulling off the res on the teammate. There's going to be Martin. Concept and Martin, that is the deadly duo you do not want to cross path with.
I'm with Blank. I want to see the Xavier take on that 3rd place overall in the standings. I am behind them all the way. Man, so close.
Yeah, I thought he was going to try and put it into the window, but it seemed like he knew the players potentially pushed out. He got spotted away by DA Xavier. There's no escape from that one. Frankie, we'll see if he can get the super play coming his way. Be great from this team once again. Back-to-back wins yesterday in the city finishes, something that is so hard to be consistent about. And yet Xavier makes the impossible possible. Can they keep their dreams alive of being top 3, even snatching away top 2? I think top 2 might be a little bit hard, but top 3 is definitely possible. As he's already out of this game. The one really threatening that top 3 so far for them. Navi spotted away. Xavier under the pressure, under the wrath of Na'Vi. That spread of Na'Vi is making sure that no matter where you try and move into, Na'Vi will have the information. There is no escape.
Oh my
God.
God.
The Russian team. Lamborghini first to go down. Meku, great angle.
Oh my God.
They got literally nothing. They're just lining up into a Congo line. Meku, this is fishing simulator right now. He's picking them up one by one. As Valdas get taken out of this game, no more threat to Na'Vi. They are taking the control, and it looks almost impossible to push them out.
Man, it's like that cutscene at the end of Snake. It's like, Snake! Snake! It's like, the Xavier, survive! You could do it! But this leaves the circle control in the favor of Navi. You're not quite in there, but when you're talking about the spread, full squad up, all the other teams are on the outside. Kitsune's gonna push forward. The revive hasn't been played off. No! He's being knocked down. No way!
Oh, he switches his weapon and the car just barely explodes into his face. That's also going to be taking down GE too, so that's not going to be helping out any of these two teams. While NASA Esports from a distance get involved with all the utility they have remaining. And I thought Na'Vi had the control. I thought they had the game in the bag, but it seemed like I talked a little bit too soon. The Maximum Curse might be into action. Na'Vi though, Tixie once again get another kill up to 7 so far. Na'Vi want to solidify their position into 2nd place. Blacklist International also out in 5th place. Great showcase still from Blacklist International. And now down to the top 4. It's Lamborghini. Can he clutch it out like yesterday? Matic, he's going to full send it also. And that's going to be the fight, and completely taken down. Smashed his head in by Matic himself. Xavier eliminated in 4th. Still a huge amount of points coming their way, but now it's just clean-up time for Na'Vi. Still up as a 4-man. They're going to try and get Kitsune back on his 2 feet. As NASA, can you take down Na'Vi? Well, hoping to see that come soon.
Gonna require a miracle at this stage. Revive's being played off onto Nasser to keep them up as a 3-man team, but that's only allowing the whole Na'Vi to drive on through.
Hamza is going to be taken down by the Na'Vi. The utility is too good. It's too strong for Na'Vi. Dixie this by getting knocked away. Doesn't really matter. They know this is going to be a 3v1. Great spread to the smoke. No way movement. They have no intel. Takes a little bit of damage there, down to 50%. Gonna have to reload that DB28, but Moominch is gonna be wrapped around by Kitsune.